As promised, I'm sitting here with Wes Villhard from HouseMaster. Wes is our premier building inspector. He helps us out. Wes, I think it's on just about every transaction that we do, especially on the buy side, there's a building inspection. You do most of those for us and for our clients. And even on the sell side, we recommend, not all the time, but frequently, that people get a building inspection so they know what to expect.
Absolutely.
Right, when the buyer comes out. So, You wanted to talk about spring rains this week, right? So tell us a little bit about what goes on that's different in this time of year relative to the fall or winter transactions.
Well, sure. This is something that people don't generally think about, but here coming up in the spring very shortly, when we get a 1-inch rain on a typical home here in St. Louis, a 2,000 square foot house, 2,000 square foot roof with a 1-inch rain, that's very normal.
Right.
Will be about 1,000 gallons of water pouring out of your downspouts all around your foundation every time it rains an inch.
And water seeks its own home. It goes wherever it is easiest for it to go to, right? So you have to kind of know where your water's going, right?
Well, that's correct. And I always joke with my customers that a basement is a swimming pool waiting to fill with water. And our job as homeowners is to keep that water out. So there's several big things to look for on your home to see if things are correct to keep your basement dry.
And so what are the issues? We've got grading issues, downspout issues, right? They have to be directed properly. You have to make sure that your sump pump is working, because if your sump pump is out, it's going to be out in the middle of the night when it's raining, whatever. Patios and driveways. What's the primary factor in, or the most common issue that you see that needs to be resolved?
Well, I think the most common issue is that the downspouts don't direct the water away from the foundation. Mm-hmm. Like I said, you have 1,000 gallons of water every time it rains an inch pouring around your foundation, and that water softens the subgrade around the foundation at each corner of the house, causes the foundation to settle, the house to settle. It cracks the foundation walls. It can crack interior drywall partitions.
So the first line of defense is a certain distance from the house where you want to discharge your downspouts. Is there a rule of thumb on that size of house, distance by feet from the house, or is it just everybody's got to be at least 6 feet or 8 feet or whatever?
Well, you're pretty close. We usually recommend about 5 to 10 feet, just some black plastic drain tile pipe to extend those downspouts away from the foundation. And then the other thing that you need to check on is to make sure that the grading slopes away from the foundation. Builders do a pretty poor job of backfilling a house, and when they backfill a basement that's dug out 9, 10 feet deep, that ground will settle 6, 8, 10 inches, even a foot sometimes.
So you're saying with a newer house that there's a likelihood that you may have a greater problem, or not a greater problem, but a greater likelihood of an issue when the house is new, because they're just kind of pushing the dirt back to infill, but they're not necessarily grading it properly.
That's correct. They're pushing the dirt back in with a bobcat or something to backfill the foundation walls, but really they should be compacting it in 1-foot lifts as they go around the foundation.
How many builders do you think actually do that, compact it 1-foot lifts?
Not many, because I see so many subdivisions all around. Every new house is a 6-inch depression that goes out about 5 or 6 feet from the foundation, and then the water rolls back to the foundation wall and causes cracking and causes leaks inside brand new basements.
So how does a homeowner, we've got listeners who are listening right now and they're thinking, well, I've got a little water in my basement. Is it a grading thing? How does a homeowner know that is the problem?
Well, sure. It's real easy just to walk around your house and see if your downspouts have extensions on them, get the water away from the corner.
Well, that's easy, but the grading piece seems like it'd be hard for someone who doesn't know what they're doing. What do they look for?
Sure. Just stand at the edge of your property and look down the side of your house, and the ground slopes toward the foundation or has depressions along the foundation. You need to bring in some more soil and fill it and make it slope away from the house at least an inch or two per foot.
So you're saying that you might need to build up. You bring in, I guess, a wheelbarrow full of dirt, right?
Sure,
Topsoil.
Could even be a truckload of dirt.
Or a truckload, but you're just going to basically build it up at the foundation of the house, but you don't want to build it all the way up to where it's going to hit the siding.
That's right.
Right? So you want to limit it to, what, 4-6 inches below the siding.
You do want to try to keep it about 4 inches below the siding, and that's for termite control. Termites don't like to come out in the daylight to go up and get behind your siding.
But is it something that a homeowner can do himself? I mean, is that a weekend fix-it guy? Does he need to hire somebody?
Most of the time it can be a homeowner fix. Some of the times if it's a lot of dirt, a lot of settlement, you'd want a landscaper to come in with a truckload of topsoil and some sod and fix that grading issue around your house.
So if it's just a minor area, you can do it yourself. But if it's the entire house or if you're really having some issues, and I guess what they really would need to do is to call someone like yourself who can look at it to really give them the full scoop on, I guess, the degree of problem that they might have.
You bet.
And whether it's something they could fix themselves or hire a landscaping professional.
You bet.
Yeah, that's good. So tell us a story. I mean, I know that you've got lots of stories. You're out there seeing crazy things in crazy houses, and our listeners, again, are wondering what's going on. I got a little water in my basement. How bad can it get?
It can get real bad, Damien. There was a house that I looked at recently in Kirkwood, Missouri, off of Old Big Bend Road, in a nice subdivision. It's a sought-after subdivision, award-winning subdivision built in the 60s.
So not a new house?
Not a new house. And the house is on a hillside, and there's several blocks, a couple 100 feet of hillside behind the house. All that water comes down to the back of the house, and it hits a patio. And the patio actually slopes toward the house.
So it's like pouring water into the basement.
It's pouring water over the top of the foundation wall. It actually pushed the foundation wall and bowed the foundation wall in. The inside of the foundation wall looked like a waterfall with all the staining and everything. And the homeowner was very reclusive, and he just neglected his property and let that water pour over and against that foundation for probably a decade or more. And it actually pushed the foundation. It rotted the sill plates, and the termites ate the sill plates, and it actually pushed the house off the foundation.
It's basically the other problem with it's an invitation for termites, because now that wood, it's not just tasty, but it's soft and chewy, right?
That's right.
So that's even a better feast for the termites to come in. So our listeners who are thinking about putting their house on the market or who are thinking about buying a house that may or may not be on the market yet, they're going to want to have someone to really take a look at it. How would they reach you to find out or to get an inspection on a house that they're, even if they're selling a house, if you're thinking about putting your house on the market for sale, you really want to know what the inspector is going to find before you go under contract. So if they're suspicious, Wes, what do?
They just give my office a call at 314-952-7007, or they can look at my website at www.housemasterstl.com.